Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA, I make videos for NFL. All these videos, they get posted on this subreddit right here. It's called DF Sports right here. You can find my posts with my username Shook. I make updates throughout the day with all the news that comes out. You can ask me questions about the slate. I will always respond to you and stuff like that. So check that out. Link to that will be down below in the comments. My Discord will also be in that post, so check that out. I give player pools for cash and tournaments, cores, and stuff like that, and a bunch more. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on Twitter right here at Tori Langley 1992 or Shook Go. So let's go over my lineups from Thursday night, and it was a phenomenal night once again. As you guys see, I show you my results each week so you can tell if I'm a winning player, losing player, whatever. You can make your own opinions. But cash games went very well. As you can see, I played this. My core was Montgomery, Love, and Goff for cash, and then tournaments went well as well. My core for tournaments was Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, and Riley Patterson. And then once we kind of got news that Montgomery was going to kind of be in that role of week 1 to 2, he became one of the best plays in the slate, which I made updates on Reddit about. So it's really important to check that out. So yeah, I'm going to make this video really quick. We're just going to go team by team, and then I'll go over cash stuff while I'm going over team by team. I'll tell you which stacks are my favorite going over team by team and stuff like that. So I just got my COVID shot today for the new variant. Not feeling so hot. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can, like 10 or so minutes. Um, Can't not make a video. So we'll do that really quick, and then I will get you guys out of here. Won't bore you to death. So let's do it. Tampa Bay. I have no interest in this team, really, at all. I think Rashad White's a fine tournament play. He's playing a lot. He's kind of involved in passing game. I think he's fine. I don't love it. I think there's much, much better running back plays. Mike Evans, Godwin, they're fine one-offs. I'm not stacking Tampa Bay this week. I don't hate it. Don't love it. They're just fine. They'll be really, really low owned, and I don't like Godwin at all. All right, New Orleans, not gonna stack this team. I think Alvin Kamara is a fine tournament play with first game back. I think there are other running backs in his price range that look a lot better that we'll go over in a minute. James Cook, Miles Sanders, Kyron Williams, Zach Moss. I think are all better plays than Alvin Kamara, so it's a fine tournament dart for me. Kind of the same thing with Tampa Bay. Like if you want to play Olave, Michael Thomas, I think it's fine. They'll be low owned. Maybe my favorite is Michael Thomas, point per dollar, who is getting a ton of volume, so I think it's fine. Not going to consider anyone on this team in cash games. Not going to go to tight ends either here for New Orleans. So obviously, Miami's matchup proof. Buffalo's basically matchup proof. I think people tend to over exaggerate two matchups too much. So I always like Tua stacks. I always like Josh Allen stacks. They're always going to be one of the better stacks on the slate. Tua has been incredible this season and has been incredibly efficient. And it doesn't matter how much they're throwing the ball. It just matters how efficient they are throwing the ball. And Tua has just been incredibly, incredibly efficient. He is a matchup-proof player in Tyreek Hill that can absolutely beat anyone. Has one of the highest ceilings on the slate. He's going to get targeted a bunch. So I always do like Tua stacks. You're going to have to pay up for it, but I think they're always good to me. Fitting in Waddle might be tough, but it is doable. We do have some value. I'll go over, while we're going over value plays and the cash stuff. I will go over that as well. We'll find you guys some value. Don't worry. And I think Smythe is playable. So I always like Tua stacks. They're always going to rank as like a top stack for me, no matter who they're playing. Favorite bring back on the other side of this game is probably, I don't know if you could fit Diggs. If you can Diggs, I think Gabe Davis, if you want pure ceiling, is fine. And then I think James Cook will be the easiest to get to. He's playing a ton, getting a lot of work involved in the passing game. So he might be the easiest to get to, but yeah. On the Miami side, I think Mostert's solid too. He won't be owned. He'll be really, really low owned. Just an absurd amount of targets last week too. So as far as cash game stuff, I don't think there's much for me. I think Tyreek Hill's in consideration. I'm not going to go to Smythe, but yeah, I do like Tua stacks quite a bit. Definitely up there as one of my favorite stacks on the week. We'll go. I'll rank my stacks at the end, and then Josh Allen stacks. They're always good, right? Always good. I'm not going to include Cook in them, but I think Steph, Gabe. If you want to go to Kincaid, if you want to go to Knox, I think that's fine. Just tremendous ceilings every single week, no matter who they're playing. I haven't looked at the totals, but I imagine this total is really high. So yeah, always very good. Always, Josh Allen stacks are always going to be one of the top stacks on the week, at least for me. As far as cash game stuff, I definitely think you can consider James Cook in cash this week. I think that's fine. Diggs, I don't love in cash this week, but it's just fine. Then I'm not really gonna consider anyone else in cash. Let's go over to Minnesota. So I'm not too high on Kirk Cousins stacks this week, so kind of a pass for me as far as quarterback goes. I think Madison is just a great play this week. Carolina is just awful. They cannot stop anyone. People are overreacting to the Cam Akers stuff. I don't think it's going to impact Madison too much. If I'm wrong, whatever, I'll bite the bullet here. But I think Madison's just going to be too underowned in tournaments with Cam Akers back. So I really like Madison in tournaments this week. I think he's cash game viable as well. Really good spot. So love Madison this week. If I'm wrong with Akers, you guys can yell at me. It's whatever. JJ, solid. Not my favorite cash game wide receiver this week. And then don't love Addison, don't love KJ. And I think Hawk, if you want to pay up for Hawk to be contrarian, I think that's solid. He'll be really low owned, but once again, not like a standout to me. I think you're going to want to pay down at tight end this week. All right, so we do have Bryce Young back. That's going to hurt the offense or the passing game a little bit, but not too worried about it. I'm not really going to consider Panther stacks. I think Miles Sanders, he didn't practice today. If he does go, I think he's a phenomenal play. They're just absolutely peppering him, with targets. Expectation of touches for him is like 20 plus. He's really involved in the passing game right now. Absolutely, I really like Miles Sanders if he does play this week. If he does not play, then that opens up Chuba Hubbard as a solid value. He won't be in that role that Sanders is in right now, but he'll probably get around 15 plus touches. So monitor the news. Either I love Sanders or Chuba Hubbard becomes a solid value. And then we got some value here with Adam Thielen, who is too cheap in my opinion at 4.5K. Now, it does get a downgrade with Bryce Young back, but I still think they're going to rely on him pretty heavily. We have Mingo, who I don't think is going to be playing. He's in concussion protocol, which will only help Thielen. So, really like Thielen this week. I think he's a good cash game option. I think it's fine. Hurst is just okay. Don't love it, don't hate it. But yeah, cash game stuff. Miles, if he plays, sure. Thielen, I think he's fine. And I don't like any of the tight ends here. Denver. So I think Russ stacks are just okay. Good spot against Chicago. Definitely going to get some ownership. I think, my favorite would be just Judy Sutton. Not a fan of the tight ends. And then I'm not going to include Javante in those stacks with Russ. But I think it's fine. I think it's okay. Definitely not like a top stack for me, but playable. Javante's just solid to me. I think it's good. And yeah, as far as cash stuff, no cash options for me on Denver. Chicago, so I'm not going to stack Fields. And if I were to stack him, I would only single stack him. I'd just do something like this. Just single stack. It's fine. Fields is viable for cash this week. I think I prefer Richardson for around the same price tag, but Fields is definitely cash game viable. Don't like the running backs. I don't like the wide receivers. I think DJ Moore is fine. But really only going to play these guys if I'm stacking Fields, which I'm not in love with Field stacks this week. So let's move on to Baltimore. Hate Baltimore this week. Don't love Lamar. Hate the running backs. Hate the wide receivers. Mark Andrews, sure, whatever. I think George Kittle is probably a better play this week, especially if Debo's out at the same price point. So really, Baltimore basically just a cross off for me. No cash game stuff here for Baltimore either. Can I interest anyone in a 4.6K rushing upside Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Potentially, if Watson is out, we could have a 4.6K quarterback that has rushing upside. I'll make updates on Reddit when we get the news on Watson. Right now, I think he plays just his shoulder, but I think it's his throwing shoulder. I'm not entirely sure there. I'll make updates. Could have a value quarterback. Could have a really good value quarterback here. I was slamming DTR in preseason all preseason long. Check out Reddit. I'll make updates when we get that news. And if Watson's out, yes, you can play DTR in cash. Running back. So I don't love Ford this week. Kind of got lucky to get into the end zone twice last week. I think he was on the field a decent amount, just didn't get a ton of touches. Wide receiver, I think Elijah Moore makes for a solid value play, getting a ton of targets. They're relying on him pretty heavily right now. They really trust him. I think Amari Cooper's solid, 2 at 6'1". I don't like DPJ. And Njoku, meh. Don't love stacks. Don't love Cleveland stacks this week. So, yeah, as far as cash stuff, like I said, keep it on Watson. Wide receiver, I think you can go to Moore. I think it's fine. And yeah, let's move on to Pittsburgh. So I think Pickett stacks are in play this week. I think they're too cheap. You have Calvin Austin running a ton of routes, getting a decent chunk of targets, and he's basically min price. Definitely cash game viable. I think the cash game, like obviously, like if you're punting wide receiver in cash, you're clearly playing Palmer. He's probably a lock in cash as of right now, as I'm recording this video. So, but if you need a second punt, I think you can definitely consider Austin or, like a Josh Downs. It's fine. So, yeah, I think Pickett stacks are actually solid this week. I think it's fine. Not going to go to the running backs, but Pickens. You have Allen Robinson, who will be probably 1% owned. Calvin Austin, who is a solid value. You have Pat Fryermuth, who looks like one of the better point per dollar tight end plays in the slate. So a lot of options you can go to. These four guys are going to eat up pretty much all of the target market share. Really, really cheap, and if you stack Pickett, you can basically play pretty much anyone else you want. So I think Pickett stacks are good. The running back situation. So I wish they would just give Warren more run. I really, really do. He's clearly better than Najee Harris, but they're just going to go with Najee right now. He'll be extremely low in tournaments. Whatever. If you want to play him, it's fine. If you want to go with Warren, it's fine. Warren will be more of that pass game role, 2-minute drill stuff, right? So I think they're both in play for tournaments. They're both just darts for me. Not going to get there in cash. Cash games. Like I said, I think you can consider Austin. I think it's fine. And then I think Pat Fryermuth looks like one of the better tight end options on the slate for cash. You guys knew I liked Stroud stacks last week. They did really, really well. I'm not too high on Stroud stacks this week, but it is playable. Running back, I think Pierce is fine. Just indifferent there. And I like the wide receivers once again here. I think they're all too cheap once again. We know where the ball is going. It's going to Nico Collins. It's going to Tank Dell. It's going to Robert Woods. Dalton Schultz isn't getting a ton of targets. And I know I said I liked him a lot last week. He just absolutely sucked, which he'll probably nuke this week. But yeah, Nico, Dell, Woods, basically getting all of the targets. Tank Dell, more of your boomer bust. I know he did get 10 targets here and 7 targets here, but has super high ceiling. Floor a little bit low, but ceiling is there. Definitely a solid cash game option. Nico Collins kind of middling, and then Robert Woods playing in the slot, I think has a solid floor at 4.3K. As far as cash game stuff for this team, Tank Dell. Like quite a bit for cash. Not going to go to anyone else in cash. All right, let's go over the Rams. So I think Stafford stacks are firmly in play, and let me explain why. Stafford, Puka Nacua. The thing with Sean McVay and the thing with Matthew Stafford is when they have a wide receiver that they want to get the ball to, that is all they're going to do. We've seen it in the past. Just look at Stafford's, whoever he eyes in on, Sean McVay, whoever he eyes in on, he's going to get them the ball. There are legit 3 guys who get the ball in this team in the passing game. Obviously, you have Kyron Williams getting a ton of work. So actually, you can include Kyron Williams as well. Puka, Tutu, Higbee, Kyron. That's 4 guys. They're all cheap. kind of cheap, kind of. But yeah, I think Stafford stacks are pretty good. We know where the ball is going. We know the expectation of touches for Nico is probably going to be 10 plus. We know Tutu Atwell has an extremely high ceiling. He's also getting a bunch of targets. Van is dust. We know Higbee is going to get a decent chunk of targets. I think I like him. So yeah, I think Stafford stacks are good. As far as cash games go, Kyron Williams probably almost close to a must play for me. Might be a must play. One of the best running back plays in the slate. Puka Nacua is strong. Could consider Tutu Atwell in cash. I think I played him in cash last week. I'm not entirely. I think I forget. I think I did. He got in the end zone. Got me into cash, I think. So, yeah. Let's move on to the Colts. So, A-Rich, as of right now, as I'm recording this video with the news, is currently my favorite cash game quarterback. I don't like stacking him. But as far as cash games go, he's my favorite cash game quarterback as of right now. I think Zach Moss firmly in play for cash, playing a ton of snaps, getting a ton of volume. I like him quite a bit. Wide receiver, I think Pittman's fine. We have another underpriced value play in Josh Downs that's playing a ton of snaps, getting a ton of targets. He is too cheap. Strong cash game option if you need the value. Like I said, we all know who the value wide receiver is. It's Palmer, as of right now. So yeah, a lot of one-off plays that I like in this game. A-Rich, Moss, Downs, Pittman's fine. So no or no stacks here, but cash game stuff good. Washington's a cross-off for me. I'm not going to anyone. Eagles stacks are always fine. I do double stack Hurts when I play him. I think you could consider including Swift in those stacks. I don't love it. I probably won't, but A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, you can include Zacchaeus, Dallas Goedert. Not my favorite stack on the week, but playable. As far as cash goes, you can always consider Hurts in cash. I'd rather pay down for A-Rich. Not going to go to Swift in cash. Not going to go to the receivers. Not going to go to Goddard in cash. So it's pretty quick. Bengals, one of my favorite stacks on the week. Probably my favorite stack on the week. Joe Burrow had the calf injury last week. He didn't look good. I think he'll look a lot better this week. They're going up against Tennessee, an absolute pass funnel. You have Jamar Chase at sub 8K, is way too cheap. You have T. Higgins at 6'8", who I think is solid. I think, game log watchers are going to see this and get a bit worried, but complete outlier games if you ask me. So I really like Higgins, really, really like Chase. Think Boyd's playable. With Irv Smith out, good luck trying to figure out what they're going to do at tight end. They ran out Sample, they ran out Wilcox, they ran out Hudson, the preseason GOAT. So, yeah, these kind of, you're basically just taking darts on the tight ends if you do play one. I haven't looked at snap counts, but Hudson's probably the most talented in my opinion. So if you want to go to him, whatever. But yeah, Joe Burrow probably my favorite stack on the week if I had to pick one. I know everyone's going to go to this Chargers game. Considering ownership and stuff like that, I think Joe Burrow is probably up there as my favorite stack on the week. As far as cash games go, I hate Mixon this week. I don't like him in tournaments. I don't like him in cash. I think Chase is strong, and that's it. Titans, basically a cross-off for me. No Tannehill. I don't like Henry. They're using Spears. Don't like the wide receivers. Think Chigakonkwo is viable for cash. Solid tournaments as well. That's about it. All right, game of the week. Got him on our Jimmy Garoppolo, but another strong stack in my opinion. With Garoppolo 5-3, you have Adams, who's just 20 targets last week. It's just absolutely absurd. Absolutely love Adams if Garoppolo plays. You have Jacoby Myers getting a ton of work. I think he looks really good as well. I'm not going to go to Hunter Renfrow. Hooper, whatever. So we know where the ball is going. It's Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Josh Jacobs. That's basically it. Not going to include Jacobs with Garoppolo, but high total game, shootout potential. We know where the ball is going. I think Jimmy G's too cheap if he plays. Love it. If Jimmy G is out, downgrade all the pass catchers. Downgrade them. Cash games. No to Jacobs, but playable. Devontae Adams, love. Jacoby Myers, playable. And that's it. All right, Chargers. So Herbert up there is one of the best stacks on the week. Joshua Kelly is dust. Keenan Allen, one of the best wide receiver plays on the slate this week. No Mike Williams. You have Palmer at 4K, who is like $1,500 too cheap. In my opinion, probably one of the best point per dollar wide receiver plays in the slate. I absolutely love Palmer this week. If you're playing cash games, probably just play him as of right now. Make updates on Reddit after I mess with builds. Quentin Johnson, I think, is viable at 3.7K. Really low floor, but does have a ceiling if he does get into the end zone. And then tight end, Parham's just going to vulture every touchdown. It's just going to happen. I will not play Parham. Cash games. Herbert's always viable in cash. Keenan, phenomenal. Palmer, phenomenal. And that's it. New England, cross-off for me. I think Ramondre is fine. Don't love anything else. Dallas, basically a cross-off outside of Tony Pollard, who I think is good. Just the amount of touches that he's getting is astounding. 17 in week 1, got pulled midway through the third, I think, or the end of the third. He had, 33 against the Jets, and 26 against the Cards. So, touches insane right now. Strong. Don't care who he's playing. It's strong. Don't love the passing game here for Dallas this week. And then we have another game that looks pretty good. Not necessarily the Arizona side as far as stacks go. So I don't like Dobbs. I don't like Connor against San Francisco. You have Marquise Brown at 5K, who's too cheap, getting a ton of work. Don't love anything else. Monitor the situation with Brown. And then you have Zach Ertz, who I think is another pretty good tight end play that looks a little bit too cheap to me. So cash games. Brown's playable. Zach Ertz strong. And that's it. And the 49ers. I think Purdy stacks are firmly in play. I will include Christian McCaffrey. And then I'll include Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. You can include Ronnie Bell for value if you want to. But another stack that I like. And CMC, in my opinion, amazing play. Really good for cash as well. Wide receiver, we'll have to monitor the Debo situation. If he is out, I love George Kittle. If he is in, I think Kittle's still a good tournament play. Probably won't be owned much. If Debo plays, I'd like the spot a lot more for Debo than Ayuk. And then with Jennings out, I think Ronnie Bell's a fine punt. Cash games. So CMC, absolutely love. Great cash game play. Debo, firmly in play. Don't love Kittle in cash. If Debo's out, then that changes things. Alright, so that's it. Let's rank my favorite stack. So if we're factoring in ownership, I think, Joe Burrow's 1 for me right now. Where is Cincinnati? I think Joe Burrow's 1 for me right now for factoring in ownership. So Joe Burrow 1. We have to go with this game second. So we'll throw Herbert 2. We'll throw this Miami-Buffalo game 3. Whichever side you want, it's fine. And then we'll throw Garoppolo 5. So, yeah, it's 5 stacks that I like. So, once again, Burrow, Miami-Buffalo, Raiders, and then, who else did I say? Burrow, Miami, Buffalo, Herbert, Raiders. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Alright guys, I'm going to go. I hope you guys had a great night. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. And sorry for the quick one. Like I said, not feeling too hot. And I will talk to y'all later.